Welcome to my channel where we cover the lore of Final Fantasy XIV. We cover the stories both big and small, the epic and the cute, the silly and the tragic. I hope you all enjoy the ride, and welcome to the Chronicler of Lore. Even though there hasn't been any news from Kral, Tataru has heard some things that are, well, bad. Lunar primals have been appearing all over the place, but the Alliance as well as some of the lower ranking Scions have been taking care of them. On the plus side, the talks with the Beast Tribes have been going much better than expected, mainly because of the things you did to help form an alliance with the Amoja and Oda. Because of that, Gridani has managed to start negotiations with the Ixal. Now that's all well and good, but with no signs of Fandaniel, you still need to be on your guard. A messenger from Alamigo shows up to tell the Scions about a meeting that's being held to discuss some things that have been happening and to figure out what can be done to fight Fandaniel and his allies now that the Beast Tribes are ready to talk. The Alliance is trying to bring them all in at once, which is smart considering how dangerous things are now. The tribes all agreed to show up, so if the Scions are there, then all of Eorzea will be represented. It's a very big moment, one that Alphinaud wouldn't ever let you all miss, but you can't all go simply because there are other things that need to be done. Estinian doesn't want to go because he doesn't feel like being bombarded with questions by Emmerich, and Urianger wants to prep the defenses in case of an attack, so the rest of you head out to Alamigo. Seeing all of the Alliance leaders and the representatives from all the Beast Tribes in the same room without fighting is something that has never been seen before. Some are eager to rush off to free their captured brethren, but without some form of protection from tempering, just charging the towers without a plan would be death, especially considering all of the guards that are around each tower. Guards or not, with everyone together, they are masters of everything from strategy to magic, so as a united front, the battle doesn't look nearly as hopeless. Hearing that they're counted among this group of Eorzea's finest makes each of the different tribes feel truly welcome, and knowing that you can all cure tempering makes them more than willing to work together. Something that Thancred points out Minfilia would have been really happy to see. Alphinaud of course points out the obvious. Even those who can resist tempering and make it into the towers have to face primals. Fighting them is dangerous for everyone, so he wants to find a way to stop them from being summoned, period. It takes both prayer and ether to summon a primal. If you can block either one, the summoning can't happen. Which means you all have to find out where the towers are drawing their ether from and cut off their supply. It's a good idea, but Fandaniel and his people won't just let you do that, so of course you'll have to stay alert. The only way to really have an advantage is if all of the nations coordinate their movements so they can back each other up with reinforcements quickly when the time comes. All of the tribes agree, and the Grand Company of Eorzea is born. Something Alphinaud has dreamed of for a very long time, so seeing it happen actually brings tears to his eyes, and there's nothing wrong with that. Men do cry. We do have emotions. We just know that not every situation calls for them. And emotional or not, Alphinaud knows that there's more to do, so he wants to talk to the Scions outside. He's happy about everyone working together, but he's worried about the battle that's coming and how many people in this newly formed coalition are going to die. He's still having a hard time accepting that death is a cost of battle, but he doesn't get a chance to talk more about it because Connie Senna comes to ask him about the Sylphs. The Sylphs of the Ash Crown Consortium have built up relationships and trade all around Eorzea. She wants to use them to help build communication between all of their new allies to help speed up their response time when the fighting starts. But moving cargo and dealing with transporting military personnel and such is different, so the Sylphs will need to be able to consult someone who's familiar with that sort of thing. And while it did go badly, Alphinaud had started the Crystal Braves, who were technically meant to be a mobile armed force that could provide aid between nations. The Crystal Braves were meant to be the lead-in to founding the Grand Company of Eorzea, but it didn't turn out like that because Alphinaud was younger and far more inexperienced. That failure showed him what he needed to know to make it work this time, so he accepts the job. Before he writes up his new plan, he wants to talk to some of the former Braves to hear where they thought he went wrong, and he wouldn't mind your help since you were there when the group started and ended. Alice wants to help too, and Ishtola pawns Graha off on us while she and Thancred head back to tell the others what they missed. For the most part, Alphinaud had already documented the entire history of the Crystal Braves, so he could see what he did that caused it to fail. But he only had his own viewpoint to go off of, so he figures he could get a more complete report if he talks to some of the other Braves to see what they have to say. Ryo and Alien have some interesting things to add, but they aren't what Alphinaud expected to hear. After the issue with the Braves, they decided to join the Scions, partially to make up for their own failures, but also because Alphinaud took full responsibility for the group's failure, proving that he understood what it meant to be a leader. And he trusted the two of them without a moment's hesitation despite what had happened. He had the right ideals, but a group can't thrive on ideals alone, not when everyone has their own personal goals that can take priority. It's why the Scions are a successful group. Everyone has their own individual skills and dreams, but they're all using them for a common goal. Kinda like the Straw Hat crew from One Piece. That's what Alphinaud needed to hear, so he sends you and the others to the Sylph village while he gets the report ready. But once the Sylphs don't make you dance before they actually talk to you. Since some of their own people have been abducted too, they'll be more than happy to carry messages for the new Grand Company. Alphinaud comes running up, telling Alice that she has to come quick because a twin adder came telling him that a Charlian was coming to Gridania, and Connie Senna wants the two of them there because this Charlian is Fortunato Leveillé, their father. To send someone of his rank, Charlian must be taking this situation seriously, but Alice can't understand why they would pick him to come when they had 98 other choices. He doesn't ever really discuss his work with them, and every time they sent letters home, their mom will respond. Trying to guess what their father is planning is pretty much a waste of time, so you all race back to Gridania. Connie Senna hadn't expected the Charlian Forum to respond to their request for help by sending a member of the Forum itself, but the twins' dad does show up, and he's happy to see his children. Their mother, Améliance, will be happy to hear that they're taking care of themselves, and he also thanks Connie Senna for how well she treated Louis Soir while he was there. But he definitely earned their hospitality by teaching them how to deal with primals, among other things. He's a hero, although Fortunato didn't agree with him getting involved, and he still stands by the Charlian motto of charting the course of history, not changing it. So Charlian will not get involved in Eorzea's fight with Garlemald. It seems like a strange stance to take during the final days, but the Forum doesn't see this as anything more than another fight with the Garleans. If the final days were truly here, then they would know. The twins try to convince their father that Fandango has no intention of leaving Charlian alone once Eorzea falls, but the fact that they would argue with their elders is proof that him letting them leave Charlian was a mistake. He thought traveling the world would teach them some discipline, but all it has done is made them as foolish as the rest of Eorzea, thinking that the only solution to a problem is to go to war. The intelligent are supposed to find better solutions, and the fact that his own children are putting everything Charlian has worked to accomplish in jeopardy is something he can't tolerate, so he banishes them from House Leveillé. From this moment on, they can do whatever they want, and he won't interfere since they are no longer a part of his family. With that, he leaves. Alice tries to chase after him, but Alphinaud tells her not to waste her time, because once their father makes up his mind, it's not easy to change it. And even if they could have changed his mind, the 98 other Forum members would have to be convinced too. And that was not going to happen, which means you'll all be facing this threat without them. But Graha raises an interesting question. If Charlian knew they wouldn't help, why bother sending someone to meet with them at all? Because everyone in this world has perfect timing, Crowd calls to see if the twins' father has already made it. When she learns that he has, she realizes that she's wasted her time. She had tried to talk to the Forum members, but they not only wouldn't agree to help, they wouldn't even talk about it. The whole thing was strange, like they were hiding something. It's almost like they have some first-hand knowledge of what's going on. Fortunato did say that they would know if the final days were actually happening, and he said that in a way that he meant he believed it. The Charlians know something, and Crow has a feeling that they're more worried about what's going to come than they claim. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so secretive. Not only did she fail on that front, she hasn't been able to learn anything about Heidelin either. It's like the Charlians have been ordered not to help you with anything at all. She's not going to give up, of course. You all just have to change tactics. And for that, she wants you all to come to Charlian, after you've gotten everything set up in Eorzea. She won't be able to get you all in fast anyway, so she wants you to not die while she gets your trip set up. There's a lot to do, and the first thing is letting everyone know what the Forum said, but a Sylph comes flying in, screaming that Zelphatar was attacked by a large force, but they were only passing through. They were on their way to Kurthus. A call comes in saying a large group is headed toward the Cartano Flats, and Amalric has already sent forces out, but he's asking for support. Which means the Grand Company of Eorzea has its first mission, and that mission is in Cartano. It's going to be more dangerous than you might have thought, because Fandango is leading the charge. Connie Senna immediately goes to get you all an airship ready, but before you can leave, Fordola shows up and demands you come and see what she has to show you. She brought Arnvald. He's alive, but he's paralyzed from the waist down. So the day for him to have to look up to Alphinaud came earlier and in a way different way than they expected. But he didn't come to ruin the mood. He had always wanted to fight for a cause he believed in, but those days are over now, so he wants Alphinaud to do it for him, to be the hero that he can't. Alphinaud doesn't think he's a hero at all, but real heroes never do. Other people decide who's a hero, and Alphinaud has earned that title time and time again, and he'll keep doing it even though he doesn't think he's the right person for the job. Endwalker knows that he is, because he remembers how Alphinaud used to be, and he can see how far he's come. Hearing those words from his friend is motivation enough, so you all head off to battle. Endwalker puts on a brave face, but he feels useless. However, it's Fordola who corrects him and lets him know that if he stopped feeling sorry for himself, there's plenty of ways that he can make a difference too, and she'll be there to help him if he needs her. Thancred and the others have already left the Rising Stones, and the Amoja and Kobolds are on the way to Cardinal, which means you all need to join them. When you all meet up, Alphinaud lets them know that Charlene won't be helping them, which means the Scions will do what they always do and take down the enemies that everyone else can't, which is good because the armies arrived. Alice will cure the Tempered once you knock them out, but you have no idea why Fandaniel chose to fight in Cardinal, so there's no telling what he's about to do. The Ascian is nowhere to be seen, but his soldiers are all over the place. The Lunar Primals are out on the battlefield, but predicting what they're gonna do hasn't been easy since they aren't attacking even when the opportunity arises. But they're still the most dangerous things on the battlefield, and the Scions, of course, will deal with them. But getting to them won't be easy since the Garleans swarm you. The Scions decide to split up to hunt down the Primals. Thancred, Y'shtola, and Urianger head east, while Alice and G'raha focus on curing the Tempered. That leaves the west to Estinian, Alphinaud, and the Warrior of Light. This is the moment where you get to see firsthand how powerful the Scions really are, and Alice is what a red mage would be if they focus solely on blowing stuff up. Her and G'raha make short work of the Magitech and get to curing the Tempered while Fandaniel hovers overhead and watches, before he summons a strange glyph that rightfully makes the Scions nervous. From far away, Y'shtola couldn't see the ether currents of Cardinal, but now that she's there, she can see that the area is a very large merging point for ether, and if the glyphs Fandaniel summoned are destroyed by the Lunar Primals, they could cause an ether explosion that could disrupt the ether flow of the entire planet, sparking a calamity like no other, which means they need to be protected at all costs. That won't be easy, because to destroy one of them, Fandaniel sent Lunar Odin. Thancred wanted to see how he stacked up in a fight with Odin anyway, and you get to control Urianger as the most fun healer in the game, the Astrologian. A very overpowered Astrologian. While they fight Odin, Fandaniel sent Ravana to destroy the glyph that G'raha and Alice are guarding, and I have to be honest, G'raha Tia is what the Warrior of Light would be if they let you pick a handful of jobs and just merge them together. He's a tank that did a fusion dance with a black mage and a white mage, yet he claimed to only be powerful when he was linked to the Crystal Tower. This fight alone proves that to be a lie. While they deal with Ravana, you, Estinian, and Alphinaud deal with the primal that crippled Endwalker, Lunar Ifrit. And I have to tell you, he tries to cripple all of you too. Now how Ifrit became the most powerful of these lunar primals, not counting Bahamut, I'll never understand. I would have thought Odin would have held that spot, but I'd be wrong. With the primals dealt with, Fandaniel actually starts to understand why Xenos thinks so highly of you, but all you've done is delay the inevitable, something he makes clear before he teleports away. The battle was fierce, and there were losses on both sides. Alice managed to heal some of the Tempered, but others didn't make it. The losses hit the Scions hard, but even though all the captured beastmen couldn't be saved, the tribes are happy that they were able to help some of their people. Even though there were losses, this was a victory, and it should be celebrated. The Grand Company of Eorzea had its first major test, and it has proven to be able to hold its own, even without the Scions, so Emmerich wants you all to focus on dealing with the towers while they fight the Garleans. Which makes sense, since you're all the best qualified to deal with primals. Alphinaud wanted to study them anyway, but if you do manage to deal with the towers, Xenos will be coming after you. And that's not the only problem. There's still the matter of Charlene and whatever secrets they're hiding that you all have to deal with. So that'll be your next destination. But I think Xenos is gonna be a bigger problem. Right now he's out in Garlemald sporting his new scythe when Fandaniel shows up to admit that he failed to redirect the ether they need from Cardinal, so they'll have to get it from other sources, from something they call the Dreamer, and then they'll be able to open the gateway to the gods. In the meantime, Xenos plans on drinking souls in preparation for your final battle, meaning he's about to use his scythe to kill a whole lot of stuff. Meanwhile, Y'shtola decided to check on something, and she realized that the ethereal currents in Mordona have been disturbed. The same is true for Thanalan, and practically everywhere else. They've all gotten weaker in a way that can't be natural. The closer you get to the towers, the more disrupted the ether becomes, which means the towers are drawing ether from the land and using it to summon primals. You all go to tell your allies what you found, but for the first time in a long time, the Warrior of Light hears Hydaelyn's voice, and a figure appears, claiming that darkness is coming, and it's bringing an end to everything, and the only person who can stop it is you. This concludes the story of Shadowbringers. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, ding that notification bell, and share this video with your friends. And if you want to buy me a coffee for my work, sign up to become a member of the channel. Until next time, guys. Later.